Hello everybody, my name is Franklin and I'm really excited to be here at First 1,000 Hours and to talk to you about my progress in 2020 in terms of my Spanish goals. And so my two big goals was to read 2,000 pages of Spanish and then also to watch 200 hours of any type of Spanish course that I chose. And so I'm just gonna go straight to the point. And before I do that, I just want to say hello to Doing Me. I'm going to get to your question that you asked as well, and we will talk about that. So let's look at this and talking about 2020. And also, I'm here to compare 2019 progress as well. So let's go ahead and go into this slide right now. So these are some highlights. In 2019, I read approximately 1,480 pages in Spanish. So what did I do in 2020? In 2020, I read approximately 1,136 pages in Spanish, and I did 38.51 hours of courses in Spanish. And so I actually did better in 2019 in terms of reading than I did in 2020. All right, so that was kind of interesting to myself, and let's continue. All right, so these are some other highlights. In December 2020, I read 139 pages in Spanish and I watched 0.51 hours of Spanish. I was like, man, I need to do something in my Spanish course. So I was gonna, doing some kind of Spanish course or whatever. And so that's what I did there. So, and one other highlight I should say in December is that I was able to finish over a 400-page book called El Ministerio de Corrección. The English title is Ministry of Healing. So I was really happy about that as well. So I want to get to Doing Me's question. Doing Me asks, how do you clock hours read? And so I want to just clarify this. I do not clock my hours read. I had two big goals. One of my goals was to read 2,000 pages. So I'm not counting that in terms of hours. I'm counting that in terms of pages read. The hours I was clocking was the courses I would take, and these were not Spanish courses to learn Spanish. It was courses to help me learn something outside of Spanish. So I've taken LinkedIn learning classes and other things like that that are for native Spanish speakers. I just happen to do them in Spanish and they follow my interests. So that's what I would say that I do there. I know what you could do. I mean, there's different trackers, and I think that's probably something good for me to look into. Things that are tracking your progress in terms of hours and productivity apps and things like that. I also know that Link, one interesting thing about Link is that if I had an audio file that I put into my phone and I was using Link, then that would track my hours of listening. But I don't really track that. I mean, I've done other things outside of my goals. I've been on Zoom. I don't count that. I just was in a Zoom meeting, a Zoom Christian meeting, just right before this live stream, like an hour before or so. And I've watched YouTube videos and other things, but I'm not counting that in terms of goals. All right, you're welcome, Doing Me. All right, let's continue. I want to share with you some other highlights here. I failed, and I really should have just put I failed, but I failed forward, and that is really nice. Because this is what I want to share with you. In the past 2 years, in 2019 and 2020, if you combine those together, I have read approximately 2,619 pages in Spanish. Now, when you're in the grind sometimes, and I remember in October, I really didn't want to do a live stream. I think it was October. It might have been like early November, whatever. My progress report for October, that's what I'm talking about. And I was like, I don't want to be here because I didn't watch, I think that was a month, I didn't watch anything. Yeah, I did 0 hours. I'm looking at my progress here. I did 0 hours in a Spanish course. And like, I don't want to tell you that, but I went ahead and did. And then October, I only read like 58 pages in Spanish. I was like, I'm not going to meet my goal. I knew that, but I also knew that I didn't want to give up. And I wanted to continue in my Spanish progress. And that's how by God's grace, I was able to read approximately 2,619 pages in Spanish in the past 2 years. So this is one takeaway that I want to share with you that is so important. It's have a big goal and focus. I'm going to be sharing my big goal or my big goals for 2021 in an upcoming video. It probably will be my next video, and you probably can kind of guess what it will be. But anyway, I've learned from my friend Connie, or I've observed, I should say, from her. I don't exactly do the same thing. Is that she will have a big goal, and she will obsess over that one big goal. And so sometimes what happens in the language learning community, I think especially, is we can get excited about, and I mean, people can do whatever they want, but I mean, learning like so many different languages at once. And when you do that, you take away some of the focus you could have when you could focus on one language. Can you read in 2 years? Can you read 2,616 pages in 5 languages each? I mean, I'm talking about 2,616 pages each for each language you're learning. If you're learning like 5 languages, it's harder to do that because that requires diverted focus. And so, like I said, my friend, she normally has like one big goal and then focuses on that. Now, I'm not like exactly like her. I have, I would say, not as many goals for language learning. I have goals for language learning. I have goals for my YouTube channel. Then I have a goal for doing this mini course and working on a mini course and all this other stuff. So I have a lot of goals. I am ambitious, but in terms of language learning, I'm just focused on Spanish, and I think that helps me to do more than if I had tried to do a lot of other languages as well. Okay, so also I want to really tell you this: don't despise small beginnings, and remember Philippians 4 and verse 13. Now I did a very short video recently. It was only like 34 seconds long, and I'm going to put that right up here. And that's how you can learn how to read a Spanish book. It's only 34 seconds. You got to watch that video, okay? And this is a book I read. This was the first book I read, and I always talk about this because I think it's important. This book is El Camino a Cristo, and this was a very hard book for me to read. It was very difficult. It was very challenging, and also it took me months to read this book. I mean, I forgot exactly how long. You can look at the documentation. I've talked about this book on my channel, but it took me like around 7-9 months or something like that to read this. And it wasn't like, I didn't know, first of all, I didn't even know how to read it and all of this stuff. But my main point is this, a book that took a lot of months to read. Now I have read, like in the last month, in December, I read 139 pages. Now with this book, this is less than 100 pages long. And even right now in January, I mean, I'm starting, and I think I'm making good progress in January. And I think I'm keeping up with some of the things I want to do. But, you know, my main thing is if you can read a sentence, you can read a Spanish book. So don't despise the small beginnings. And I want you to be ambitious. I want you to be very ambitious with your with a big goal in your language that you're seeking to learn. And let's enjoy the process. Let's not give up. And I think and keep on with the journey. There's some people that they start a goal, they have a goal in January, and then they give up and all these things. And it says, okay, so doing me, thank you for asking another question, because I was about to end the live stream. But I will ask, I mean, if you ask me questions, this is why I'm here. So you ask me questions, I'll keep on being on the live stream. So, all right, so this is your question you asked me. Did you read for comprehension? Like, did you look up words you didn't know? Okay, so yes, I looked up a lot of words I didn't know, and I'm going to show this to you. So I have talked about this on other videos, but I'm just going to show you. I hope you can see this. These right here are a lot of different words I did not know, and I'm just going to keep on just flipping the pages. So when I did this book right here, I did a transition from going on Duolingo. Okay, so when I was on Duolingo, let me actually, before I go into that, I'm going to show you. That's the first page right there. Oh man, my cover is about to come off. This book's so old. Now you can see like how it's like, you see that it's worn out. This is my sweat and blood right here. This book. That's why I show it. But so what I had to do was when I transitioned from Duolingo to reading a book like this, I did not have the preparation necessary for this book. This was a high level. This was a native level book that was basically, you could say it's for everyone, but I would say written for adult. It's like an adult level book for native Spanish speakers. Okay, I call it a Philippians 4 and verse 8 book. And so at almost every single sentence, I had to look up words. But I was like, I know that there's a principle of the mind that my mind is going to adapt on the things I focus on. So I'm like, why am I going to read this book that doesn't have it's not as much, it's not a real challenging book. I'm not into trying to do these books that are not challenging. I want to read something hard. And the thing is, I would say I read this for comprehension because I actually had read this in English before, but I also read it for comprehension. I knew that I knew that reading was going to help me in understanding what people were saying and all that, or at least I thought that was a theory. I thought it was going to help. But then what happened is I read, I remember one time I read I think the second chapter of this book, and then I listened to the audio book portion of it. And I have this on a previous video in First 1,000 Hours about how I read my first book, and I'll put a YouTube card right up here, so you can go right to that video. That video playlist is two videos especially. I'll put that up here. But what happened is I understood normally around 5% or something like that, or maybe 1%. I forgot. You have to listen to the audio, but it went up to 40% comprehension or something like that, because the reading helped my mind. The Lord helped, and reading also helped me to notice what was being said. And then I was like, whoa, this is a really good combination of being able to read and then being able to listen. And so the foundation, reading helps me and has helped me tremendously when it comes to, transitioning from just, when I started reading this book, then I started going on YouTube, and then I was watching native level, YouTube videos, and I had subtitles in Spanish. And so then, because I could read a little bit, that helped me to notice more of what was being said. And so there's a long time where I was watching YouTube videos with Spanish subtitles. And then eventually I was able to take those subtitles off. And now if I watch Spanish videos, I typically have them off. But it has helped me with my comprehension. I was just in a Zoom meeting, like I said, and that's, Zoom doesn't have subtitles. And so I'm with these people in Costa Rica, and having to listen to, listen to people, and then also be able to interact with people. And that has helped with my comprehension. So yeah. All right. I'm glad that you do that as well. Look up things. Some people don't want to look up words and stuff like that. They're like, I guess some people don't like that. But the thing is, when you're dealing with, if you're trying to read over 1 million words in a language, or if you're trying to read 2,616 pages, it's a lot different than if you're reading this book that's for a beginner level. Maybe then it might, actually I don't mind looking up words. It's not a big deal, because the thing is, what I could say as well, man, there's so much I could talk about reading. I'll say this, and if you have any more questions, just let me know. Please ask the question so I can keep on talking. But I want to say something else about reading, which I really like, and I probably will make a dedicated video on this. But one thing that is helpful is, I get to see words over and over in context. And so some people, what they do is they will have a flashcard and they'll do things like that. I think that reading personally is a built-in flashcard. And so I get to see these words in many different contexts, so it helps me out. And the one thing I had shared on one of the YouTube channels was people like to be on Jesus's knee or something like that. Children like to be on Jesus's knee or something like that. And that word knee is rodilla. And so then when I was in my job where I work at an eye care practice, someone said the word, like they said like something like their knee hurts or their rodilla hurts. And so I already had heard that word, and I was able to use that in another context, but it's pretty cool. Okay, so um, doing me. Does part of your journey include travel to a Spanish speaking country? All right, so this is something that I think I differ with probably a lot of people. I I believe I am in a Spanish speaking country. The United States is the one of the biggest Spanish speaking countries in the world in terms of the amount of Spanish speakers that are in the United States. And so um, what I could say is that the only country that has more Spanish speakers in it is Spain. So we're the second largest Spanish speaking country in the world. And so for me, my experience, so I think eventually I guess eventually I do want to go to a country that is probably predominantly Spanish speaking. And those, actually I want to go to two. One of them is Honduras and the other one is Costa Rica. I have friends in Costa Rica. I want to go there. And then Honduras, definitely I want to go there. And the cool thing I could say about my journey is because I can comprehend a lot of things in Spanish already. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about a beginner course. I'm talking about doing stuff that's native level. I'm going to have a easier time, I think, navigating in the country. Now, obviously, that's what I'm saying, but I know my friend Connie Warner. I've talked about her as well, and how she has been able to go to Brazil, and she was able to not have problems in Brazil because she had spent a lot of time taking advantage of opportunities in the United States, and then that actually helped her as well. So I'll put a video about her in the description of this video as well. But for me, I feel like I went to in one sense, I had an experience of kind of being like in an all Spanish speaking country when I went to a Spanish church. Because when I went to a Spanish church, I'm with a lot of natives. I was like with, I don't know, 50 something native Spanish speakers, and they were not speaking English. It was not tailored for people that were speaking English. It was for people that know Spanish. I was with people that, they didn't slow down the pace or anything for me. And that was good for myself because I felt like I was in Olympic level Spanish. And so I like to go, one of the strategies I have had is to put myself in a Spanish church. And right now I'm doing going on Zoom meetings. I've gone through so many different Zoom meetings in the past year, and doing that in church meetings that I think has given me more of a realistic experience, especially being at the church, the physical church, but also even on Zoom, giving me more of a interaction with natives that I think is helpful. Okay, so doing me, you asked, what do you think about immersion schools in Guatemala and Mexico? Um, I I don't I guess it kind of depends on the school. I would have to kind of know more about the school itself to give the best thing. I haven't really looked into immersion schools. The thing for myself, and this is how I've actually done my channel first 1,000 hours, is I look for opportunities that are right in front of me. I mean, if I talk about YouTube, it was I with YouTube, and I always talk about this kind of, I my MacBook Pro broke, and so I was left with having to basically do a lot of videos from my phone that was tacky. And I'm finally about to get a new phone next week. It's not going to be it's going to be a mid-range phone, but anyway, I just used what I had. I got 2 rubber bands. I put this phone on my tripod and I used it. And so the same thing is with Spanish. It's like, okay, what can I do? I was like, I can't afford a plane ticket to another country. What can I do? I can go to a Spanish church. What can I do? I can read El Camino Cristo. What can I do? I can watch YouTube videos in Spanish. What can I do? I can I can listen to audio while I'm in Walmart. I had headphones. I had these wireless headphones. I'm like, man, I'm going to utilize my time while I'm in the car. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to be listening to Spanish. I haven't done as much as I did before in listening to Spanish audio, but I was like, I'm going to take advantage of the time I have and really be serious about learning Spanish. And so I would say that even if you go to these immersion schools and all this, what I would say is I would encourage you to take advantage of the time you have right in the United States, because in my opinion, putting your foot in a foreign country is not necessarily going to change the comprehension. I know people talk about, whoa, it's different because they're in a foreign country and stuff like that. But I mean, to me, it's like, can you recreate an experience of being with native Spanish speakers even where you are? And I think you can do that if as long as you have an internet connection and if you have a smartphone or something like that. So that's what I would encourage more so than just going to an immersion school in another country. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that either. I mean, I think it could be fun and all that. Another thing that I like about going to a Spanish church again is because I was with a lot of native Spanish speakers. So it's like, it's just different. I mean, it's a different type of approach and strategy. But the thing that you have to probably, I would be a little bit thinking about if going in an immersion program is, are you going to be with primarily people that are speaking Spanish, or are you going to be primarily with people that are speaking English? So if you're with I don't know how many people would be in immersion school. Let's say there's 10 people in that immersion school. Is it going to be more so in Spanish? Is that how you're going to learn? Or when you start interacting with people, is it going to be more dominated by English? But I'm working myself personally. I am working on a mini course with a friend that's going to help people comprehend Spanish, get the confidence, the mindset, and the skill set to comprehend Spanish from day one. So I do believe in learning via immersion and things like that. And so that like I said, that's your decision and all that. But I hope that can help a little bit. And if you go to another country, I think it's a fun thing to do. So I would think that that's good. Now, I don't know if anybody else has any questions for myself. I do these live streams because sometimes I just like to be raw and real. And so I like to be able to show you myself unedited. And so that's what I like to do. And I can talk for a long time. I've been doing live streams for, over a year now on this YouTube channel. So I'm fine with doing things like that. And I think especially for the progress reports, I think the people that really look at those are people that are interested in my journey and also have you also want to have your own journey in Spanish or another language. And so I know that my journey intersects with your journey, and that's why we are connected together, I believe, on YouTube. And so I'm here to try to give as many resources as possible. Another thing that I normally talk about, and I want to recommend this as well, immersion can start right now. It doesn't matter what level you're at, and this is for free. This is not even for pay. But I would say that I have a video, and I'll put that in the description as well. Got a lot of things to put in the description, but it's a video on how to use the language learning with YouTube beta Chrome extension. And that can help you to be able to help you to watch native level content, have English subtitles and also Spanish subtitles, and be able to kind of understand what people are saying. And you should be able to do that from day one. So that's something that you can do as well. So I want to thank y'all for being here at this live stream, and I'm so glad that we had some interactivity today. And next week I will be sharing with you my goals. Okay, my goals that I'm going to be doing for 2020, and I want you to be on the journey with me. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put a video on the screen, and this is going to be a video that I really want to encourage you to watch called my 10 plus challenges, overcoming 10 plus challenges in Spanish. And I think that's important because we encounter challenges in language learning, and we have two choices. We can run from them, or we can fight them and seek to overcome them, by God's grace. And so I want to share a few of my personal stories, and there's also a video that YouTube recommends. And I hope to see you in the next video.